There are nights when the heart feels heavier than the body. You lie down, but rest does not come. Thoughts circle softly, emotions press gently, and something inside you feels tender without knowing why. This is not weakness. This is your heart asking to be heard, not silenced. When the heart feels heavy, it is often because you have been strong for too long. You have held things together, smiled when you wanted to soften, carried feelings you never gave words to. The weight you feel is not sadness alone. It is unexpressed care waiting for permission to release. You may try to distract yourself, scroll a little longer, think your way out of the feeling. But heaviness does not dissolve through effort. It dissolves through kindness. Through a moment where you stop demanding answers and allow yourself to be held by gentler thoughts. Notice how your body responds when you slow your breathing. How the chest softens just a little when you stop explaining yourself to the past. The heart listens closely at night. It hears every word you speak inwardly. This is why what you say to yourself now matters more than you realize. Tonight is not about fixing your life. It is about offering comfort to the part of you that feels tired of carrying everything alone. A simple sentence, spoken softly, can signal safety. Repeated with sincerity, it tells the heart it no longer has to brace itself. If your heart feels heavy, it does not need discipline. It needs reassurance. It needs to know it is allowed to rest, allowed to feel, allowed to let go without consequences. Stay with this moment. What you are about to say can become a gentle turning point. Say it slowly. Say it as if your own heart is listening, because it is. I want to begin by speaking to the feeling itself, the quiet weight that settles in the heart when the day is over and the world grows still. This heaviness is often misunderstood. People try to name it, explain it, or push it away. Yet the heart is not asking for explanation. It is asking to be listened to. When the heart feels heavy, it is usually because it has been holding more than it was meant to hold alone. Many of us have learned to carry our feelings silently. We learn to be dependable, to stay composed, to keep going even when something inside us wanted to pause. Over time, this unspoken effort gathers in the heart. It does not arrive as sharp pain. It arrives as tenderness, as a sense of fullness that has nowhere to go. The heart becomes heavy not because it is weak, but because it has been strong for too long. At night, this weight often becomes more noticeable. During the day, movement and noise can keep us distracted. We speak, we do, we respond. But when the body finally lies down and the lights dim, the heart senses safety. In that safety, it begins to speak, not in words, but in feeling. This is why nights can feel emotional without a clear reason. I want you to know that this is not something to be feared. The heart is not breaking, it is opening. Heaviness is often the doorway to release if we meet it with kindness instead of resistance. When you stop trying to fix the feeling, it begins to soften on its own. Many people believe that if they allow themselves to feel heavy, they will sink deeper into sadness. Yet the opposite is usually true. Feelings that are allowed can move. Feelings that are judged or suppressed remain. The heart relaxes when it knows it does not have to defend itself or explain its state. I have seen this again and again. People say, I don't know why I feel this way. Nothing is wrong, and yet something inside them is tired of being quiet. The heart does not measure worth by visible problems. It responds to emotional truth. Even gentle disappointments, unspoken care, and unexpressed love can weigh on it. The heart is very sensitive. It notices when you ignore yourself. It notices when you rush past your own needs. It notices when you give understanding to everyone else but withhold it from yourself. Over time, this noticing becomes weight, not as punishment, but as a signal. I want you to imagine the heart as a loyal companion. It does not complain loudly. It waits patiently. It continues to beat, to support, to love. When it finally feels heavy, It is because it has been carrying quietly for a long time. This is not a failure. It is communication. So many of us were taught to be reasonable instead of honest with ourselves. We learned to say, "I'm fine," even when we were tired inside. We learned to stay composed rather than express uncertainty or longing. These habits are understandable. They helped us belong, but the heart remembers what was not said. Heaviness is not always sadness. Sometimes it is love that had no place to go. Sometimes it is care that was never acknowledged. Sometimes it is simply the need to be held without having to be strong. When the heart feels heavy, it is asking for permission to rest. I invite you to stop asking yourself what is wrong and begin asking what has been held. This small shift changes everything. There is no accusation in this question, only curiosity. And curiosity opens the door to compassion. The heart does not want to be analyzed. It wants to be comforted. When you approach it gently, it responds. You may notice that simply acknowledging the heaviness creates a small sense of relief. That relief is the heart saying, "Thank you for noticing." At night, the heart listens very closely to the words you speak inwardly. It hears reassurance just as clearly as it hears criticism. This is why tone matters so much now. A harsh thought can tighten the chest. A kind thought can soften it immediately. I often say that loving yourself begins with how you talk to yourself. When the heart feels heavy, it is especially important to choose gentleness, not grand promises, not solutions, just kindness. The heart understands kindness. It recognizes it as safety. Many people try to distract themselves from this feeling. They stay busy, reach for noise, or think their way through it. But heaviness does not dissolve through effort. It dissolves through presence. When you stay with the feeling without judgment, it begins to change. I want you to know that you do not need to identify every emotion you feel. You do not need to name it correctly. The heart does not require accuracy. It requires acceptance. Even saying inwardly, "Something feels heavy, and that's all right," is deeply soothing. The body responds quickly when the heart feels heard. The breath deepens slightly. The chest softens. The shoulders may drop without effort. These are signs that the heart is no longer bracing. It knows it is safe to be felt. You may notice that the heaviness comes in waves. It may rise, then ease, then return. This is natural. Emotions move when they are allowed. There is no need to rush the process. The heart moves at its own pace. I want to speak gently here about tears. Tears are not a sign that something is wrong. They are a sign that the heart is releasing pressure. Even if tears do not come, the possibility of them is healing. The heart relaxes when it knows it is allowed to feel fully. The heaviness you feel is not asking to be fixed tonight. It is asking to be met. When you meet it with kindness, it no longer has to work so hard to be noticed. And when it no longer works so hard, it begins to rest. I invite you to place a hand gently over your chest as you listen. This simple gesture sends reassurance directly to the heart. The body understands touch. It understands presence. It understands care. As you do this, notice if there is any urge to change the feeling. See if you can let that urge soften. You are not here to push the heart into lightness. You are here to sit with it in truth. Lightness comes later, on its own. The heart does not need discipline. It does not need instruction. It needs companionship. When you offer yourself as a gentle witness, the heart feels less alone. And loneliness is often the true source of heaviness. I want you to remember that nothing has gone wrong because you feel this way. You have not failed at being positive. You have not undone your progress. You are simply human, with a sensitive heart that has been doing its best. Heaviness is not a permanent state. It is a moment of transition, a signal that something inside is ready to be acknowledged and released. The heart does not hold weight forever. It releases when it feels safe. As we continue together, we will explore how to offer that safety more deeply. But for now, let this be enough. You have listened. You have stayed. You have allowed the heart to speak without interruption. That alone is an act of self-love. And self-love, even in its quietest form, begins to lighten the heart. I want to speak with you now about the kind of strength that quietly exhausts the heart. Not the strength that lifts or empowers, but the strength that holds everything together without being seen. Many people learn early that being strong means staying composed, being dependable, and not asking for too much. This strength may look admirable, yet over time it becomes heavy. When you are strong for too long, the heart has no place to rest. It keeps watch. It stays alert. It carries responsibility even when no one asks it to. This constant readiness settles into the body. It does not announce itself loudly. It becomes a background weight, something you grow used to until night arrives and the quiet makes it visible. I want you to understand that the heart does not tire from loving. It tires from holding love without expression. When care, concern, and tenderness are never given room to move, they gather inside. The heart becomes full, not with pain, but with unshared feeling. This fullness is what you experience as heaviness. Many people believe they must stay strong to keep life from falling apart. They tell themselves that softening would be irresponsible, or that vulnerability would create problems. Yet strength without softness becomes rigidity, and rigidity interrupts the natural flow of emotional life. You may notice that you often take care of others before you consider yourself. You listen, you support, you reassure. Yet when you need the same gentleness, you tell yourself to manage quietly. This pattern is learned, not chosen. And it places a great burden on the heart. The heart was never meant to carry everything alone. It was meant to share. When sharing feels unsafe or inconvenient, the heart adapts by becoming silent. Silence may keep things running, but it also keeps feelings trapped. Over time, trapped feeling becomes weight. I want to say this clearly. Being strong does not mean being silent. True strength includes honesty. It includes allowing yourself to feel without immediately correcting or minimizing those feelings. The heart relaxes when it knows it does not have to perform strength at every moment. You may notice that heaviness often appears after periods of holding it together, after you have supported others, after you have stayed composed through difficulty, after you have pushed past your own limits without acknowledgement. The heart waits until safety appears, then it speaks. Night often feels like that safety. The world quiets. Expectations pause. The heart senses an opening. It releases what it has been carrying all day. This release does not come as words. It comes as weight, as tenderness, as a sense of being full. I want you to notice how often you deny yourself permission to feel tired emotionally. You may allow physical tiredness, but emotional fatigue often feels unacceptable. Yet emotional fatigue is real. The heart needs rest, just as the body does. When emotional fatigue is ignored, the heart continues to work. It holds feelings in place. It keeps care contained. This effort is subtle, but it is constant. And anything constant eventually becomes heavy. Many people mistake vulnerability for weakness. They believe that feeling deeply will undo them. Yet vulnerability is simply openness. It allows feelings to move instead of stagnate. When feelings move, they lighten. When they are held back, they weigh more. I want you to imagine setting down a heavy bag you have been carrying without realizing it. You did not know how heavy it was until you put it down. Emotional strength works the same way. You may not realize how much you have been holding until you allow yourself to soften. Softening does not mean falling apart. It means allowing yourself to feel without judgment. It means letting the heart breathe. When the heart breathes, it releases pressure naturally. You may feel resistance when you consider letting go of this constant strength. The mind may say, if I stop being strong, who will hold things together? This question comes from fear, not truth. Life does not collapse when you soften. Often it becomes more balanced. The heart is very wise. It knows when it is carried enough. Heaviness is not a failure of strength. It is a signal that strength needs rest. Listening to this signal prevents deeper exhaustion. I invite you to place compassion where you once placed expectation. Instead of asking yourself to be stronger, ask yourself to be kinder. This small shift changes the inner environment immediately. When you speak kindly to yourself about your tiredness, the heart responds. It loosens. It feels seen. Being seen is deeply restorative. The heart does not need solutions in these moments. It needs acknowledgement. You may notice that when you stop demanding strength from yourself, emotions begin to move. You may feel sadness, or relief, or a quiet tenderness. These feelings are not problems. They are release. Release lightens what was heavy. I want you to know that you do not have to earn rest for your heart. Rest is not a reward, it is a need. When you allow yourself emotional rest, you tell the heart that it is valued, not just useful. The heart carries love, and love is generous. But generosity without replenishment becomes depletion. Allow yourself to receive the same care you so easily offer others. This receiving restores balance. As we continue, hold this gently. You are not meant to be strong all the time. You are meant to be whole. Wholeness includes softness, feeling, and rest. Tonight, let yourself step out of the role of holding everything together. Let the heart lay down what it has been carrying. Nothing will be lost by this. Only wait. And as the heart begins to rest, even slightly, you may notice that heaviness starts to shift. Not because you forced it to leave, but because you finally allowed yourself to stop being strong long enough to be kind. I want to speak with you now about the night itself and why it often feels like the only time the heart dares to soften. There is something gentle about the quiet hours. The demands of the day fade, and the world stops asking you to perform. In this stillness, the heart senses an invitation. It no longer has to stay guarded. It no longer has to explain itself. Night is not empty, it is spacious. It creates a kind of privacy that allows feelings to rise without interruption. During the day, attention is pulled outward. At night, attention returns inward. The heart notices this shift immediately. It begins to speak in sensation rather than words. You may have noticed that emotions feel closer to the surface when you lie down. Thoughts slow, yet feelings feel fuller. This is not because the night creates heaviness. It reveals what has been waiting patiently all along. The heart has been carrying these feelings through the day, quietly, responsibly, without complaint. I want you to understand that the night is not working against you. It is offering you a safe place to soften. The darkness removes expectation. No one is watching. Nothing is required. In this safety, the heart finally relaxes its grip. The body responds quickly when the heart begins to soften. The breath naturally deepens. The chest loosens. Muscles release without instruction. These changes are not something you make happen. They happen when the heart feels it no longer needs to stay alert. Many people become frustrated at night because they want sleep to arrive immediately. Yet rest begins before sleep. Rest begins when the heart feels safe enough to stop holding. When you demand sleep, the heart tightens again. When you allow yourself to simply be, rest begins to unfold. I want to invite you to see the night not as a problem to get through, but as a companion. The quiet is not loneliness, it is space. Space where you are allowed to feel without being interrupted or judged. The heart often carries feelings that had no place during the day, small disappointments, lingering worries, gentle longings. These feelings do not disappear because they are ignored. They wait. Night gives them permission to surface. You may notice a tenderness in your chest when you slow your breathing. This tenderness is not sadness alone. It is openness. It is the heart saying, I am here and I am ready to be held. When you respond with gentleness instead of distraction, the tenderness begins to soothe itself. I often say that healing does not require effort. It requires safety. The night offers safety naturally. When you stop resisting the feeling and begin welcoming it, the heart receives a powerful message. It is allowed to feel without consequence. Many people believe they must distract themselves at night to escape heaviness, yet distraction only postpones release. When you sit quietly with the feeling, even for a moment, it often shifts. Not dramatically, but enough to bring relief. You do not need to relive your day or solve your life during these hours. The heart is not asking for answers. It is asking for presence. Presence says, I am here with you. And that is enough. The night is especially receptive to gentle reassurance. The heart listens more deeply now. Words spoken softly, inwardly, land more fully. This is why kindness at night is so powerful. It reaches places effort cannot. I invite you to notice how your body responds when you allow the night to hold you. Notice the weight of your body against the bed. Notice the steady rhythm of your breath. These simple sensations anchor you in the present moment, where the heart feels safest. You may notice thoughts trying to pull you back into worry or planning. This is natural. Gently return your attention to the feeling of being supported. The bed beneath you, the quiet around you, the simple fact that you are allowed to rest right now. The heart softens when it feels supported. Support does not always come from answers. Often it comes from stillness. Stillness allows the heart to settle into itself. You may find that the heaviness begins to spread out rather than press in. It becomes less concentrated, less demanding. This is the beginning of release. Release does not require tears or insight. It happens when tension dissolves. I want you to trust that the night knows how to carry what you have been holding. You do not have to stay awake to guard it. You do not have to manage it. You can let the darkness do some of the work. The heart was never meant to carry everything alone. It was meant to be supported by life, by rest, by quiet moments of being held without expectation. The night offers this freely. As you lie here, allow yourself to imagine the night as a gentle presence, not something empty, but something steady, something that does not ask anything of you, something that simply stays. This staying is what the heart has been longing for. Not solutions, not explanations, just the feeling of being allowed to rest without responsibility. When the heart feels this permission, even briefly, the weight begins to lift. Not because you forced it to, but because it finally feels safe enough to let go. And as we continue, we will bring words to this safety, words that reassure the heart and allow it to rest more deeply. But for now, let the night do what it does best. Let it quiet the world. Let it hold you. Let the heart soften into the stillness that has been waiting for it all along. I want to speak with you now about the habit of trying to fix or explain what the heart is feeling, especially in moments when it feels heavy. Many people have learned to turn immediately to the mind for answers. They ask, why do I feel this way? Or what is wrong with me? These questions may seem helpful, yet they often add another layer of tension to a heart that is already tired. The heart does not speak in reasons. It speaks in sensation, rhythm, and emotion. When you try to explain it, you move away from it. The mind steps in with analysis, while the heart quietly waits to be comforted. This waiting can make the heaviness feel more pronounced, not because it is growing, but because it has not been met. I want you to notice how your body responds when you begin searching for explanations. Often the chest tightens slightly, the breath becomes shallow, the head fills with movement while the heart remains still. This is not because thinking is wrong, but because thinking is not what the heart needs in this moment. Many people believe that understanding must come before peace. They believe that once they figure out the cause, the feeling will go away. Yet the heart does not release through understanding alone. It releases through acceptance. Acceptance says, "You are allowed to be here, even if I do not know why." Trying to fix a feeling sends the heart a subtle message that something is wrong. The heart hears this as judgment. Judgment makes the heart brace itself. When the heart braces, it holds on more tightly to what it is carrying. The very effort to fix becomes the reason the feeling stays. I often remind people that feelings are not problems. They are movements of energy. When energy is allowed to move, it completes itself. When it is interrupted by analysis or correction, it stalls. Stalled energy is what we experience as heaviness. You may notice that when you stop asking questions and simply acknowledge the feeling, something shifts. Even saying inwardly, "This is what I feel right now," can bring relief. That relief is the heart recognizing that it no longer has to justify itself. The need to explain often comes from fear. Fear that if you allow the feeling without understanding it, it will overwhelm you. Yet feelings that are allowed rarely overwhelm. They soften, they spread out, they lose their sharp edges. It is resistance that gives them weight. I want you to know that you are not required to solve your life tonight. The heart is not asking for solutions. It is asking for rest. When you release the need to figure everything out, you give the heart permission to settle. The mind may protest. It may say, "But I need to know." Gently reassure it. Let it know that there will be time for understanding later. Right now, comfort is more important than clarity. Comfort creates the safety in which clarity eventually arises. You may notice that when you stop explaining, your breath naturally deepens. The body recognizes that it is no longer under examination. Examination creates pressure. Presence creates ease. The heart responds immediately to this shift. I invite you to place your attention on the feeling itself without naming it. Notice its texture, its weight, its movement. Do not try to change it. Simply be with it as you would sit with a dear friend who needs quiet companionship. This kind of presence is deeply healing. It tells the heart, you do not have to perform. You do not have to make sense. You are allowed to be exactly as you are. These unspoken messages calm the heart more than any explanation could. Many people are surprised to discover that when they stop fixing, the feeling begins to change on its own, not because they made it change, but because they stopped interfering with its natural movement. The heart knows how to release when it feels safe. I want you to trust that nothing bad will happen if you do not understand everything tonight. Life continues, the world remains intact, and your heart benefits from the rest it receives when you let go of the need to explain. Understanding often arrives later, quietly, when you are not looking for it. It comes as insight, as clarity, as a gentle knowing. But it does not arrive through pressure. It arrives through ease. When you stop fixing and start allowing, you step out of struggle and into compassion. Compassion does not rush. It stays. It listens. It allows space for healing to unfold naturally. As we move forward, remember this: the heart does not need to be solved. It needs to be soothed. And soothing begins the moment you stop demanding answers and begin offering kindness. Tonight, let this be enough. You have done all that is needed by allowing yourself to feel without explanation. That permission alone begins to lighten the heart, and in that lightening, rest becomes possible. I want to speak with you now about the words you offer your heart when it feels heavy, because words carry energy, and the heart listens very closely, especially at night. The heart does not respond to arguments or instructions. It responds to reassurance. A few gentle words spoken sincerely, can change the inner atmosphere completely. When the heart feels burdened, it is often because it has been speaking quietly for a long time without being answered. It does not need grand declarations or promises. It needs to hear that it is safe, that it is allowed to rest, and that it is not alone. Reassurance is the language the heart understands best. Many people try to talk themselves out of how they feel. They say, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "others have it worse." These words may sound reasonable, yet they leave the heart feeling unseen. The heart does not compare, it feels. When its feelings are dismissed, it grows heavier, not lighter. I want you to notice how different it feels when you speak kindly instead. When you say something like, "It's all right to feel this way," the body responds immediately. The breath softens, the chest loosens, the heart feels acknowledged. Being acknowledged is deeply calming. Reassuring words are not meant to change your circumstances. They are meant to change your relationship with yourself. When the heart feels supported from within, it no longer has to hold itself so tightly. This loosening is what allows heaviness to begin lifting. I often say that the way you speak to yourself determines how safe your inner world feels. At night, when the heart is most open, words land more deeply. This is why even a simple sentence, repeated gently, can have a powerful effect. Choose words that feel comforting rather than impressive. The heart is not moved by elegance, it is moved by sincerity. Words like, "I am here with you," or "You are allowed to rest now," carry warmth. Warmth tells the heart it no longer needs to stay alert. You may notice resistance when you begin offering yourself reassurance. Thoughts may arise saying, "This won't help," or "This feels foolish." These thoughts are habits, not truth. The heart does not judge kindness. It welcomes it. I invite you to speak to yourself as you would to a beloved child or dear friend, not to fix them, but to sit beside them. The tone matters more than the wording. A soft, steady tone tells the heart that danger has passed. Repetition is important, not because the heart is stubborn, but because it learns through consistency. When reassuring words are offered again and again, the heart begins to trust them. Trust allows the heart to release what it has been holding. You may notice that when you repeat a comforting sentence, your body responds before your mind does. The shoulders relax, the jaw unclenches, the breath deepens. These changes are signs that the heart is listening. I want you to understand that reassurance is not denial. You are not pretending everything is fine. You are simply offering comfort in the midst of what is real. Comfort does not erase feeling. It makes feeling easier to carry. The heart does not need you to be perfect with your words. It only needs you to be kind. Even saying, "I don't know what to do, but I care," is deeply reassuring. Honesty combined with kindness creates safety. As you speak gently to yourself, you may notice emotions shifting. The heaviness may spread out, soften, or change shape. This movement is natural. It means the heart is no longer frozen in place. You might also notice moments of quiet between thoughts. These moments are precious. They are signs that reassurance is doing its work. In quiet, the heart rests, and rested hearts heal. I want to remind you that you are not responsible for carrying everything tonight. You do not need to stay vigilant. Your heart is allowed to set things down. Reassuring words give it permission to do so. When you speak kindly to yourself, you are creating an inner environment of safety. Safety is where healing happens, not through effort, but through ease. As we continue, we will allow this reassurance to deepen into rest. But for now, let your words be simple and true. Let them be gentle enough that your heart can believe them. Speak softly, your heart is listening. And with each kind word, it feels a little less alone. I want to speak with you now about allowing the heart to rest without guilt, because guilt is one of the quiet forces that keeps the heart awake, even when the body is tired. Many people believe they must remain emotionally alert as if letting go for a moment would cause something important to be lost. Yet the heart was never meant to stay on watch without pause. Guilt often sounds like responsibility. It says, I can't relax yet, or I must keep thinking about this. These thoughts may feel protective, but the heart experiences them as pressure. Pressure keeps the heart braced. Bracing keeps the weight in place. Rest cannot arrive where vigilance remains. I want you to understand that resting emotionally does not mean abandoning care. It means trusting that care does not disappear when you stop holding it tightly. Love does not vanish when you rest. Concern does not become neglect. The heart can set things down without losing what matters. Many people learned early that rest must be earned, that it comes only after everything is resolved, finished, or explained. This belief keeps the heart working long after it has done enough. Yet resolution often comes more easily after rest, not before it. When the heart is allowed to rest, something very gentle happens. The body releases tension it did not know it was holding. The breath finds a deeper rhythm. Thoughts slow without being forced. This is not avoidance. This is restoration. You may notice resistance when you consider letting your heart rest. Thoughts may arise saying, what if I forget something important? Or what if I stop caring? These fears come from old habits of vigilance. Meet them with reassurance. Let them know that nothing essential is lost in rest. Life does not require you to carry everything alone. There is a greater order at work, one that continues even when you sleep. Trusting this order allows the heart to relax its grip. Relaxation is not surrender. It is cooperation with life. I often remind people that the heart heals in safety, not in effort. Safety comes from permission. Permission to pause. Permission to stop thinking. Permission to let tomorrow wait. When you give yourself this permission, the heart feels honored rather than abandoned. Guilt tightens the chest because it implies wrongdoing. It says, I should be doing more. Yet when you rest, you are not doing something wrong, you are doing something necessary. The heart understands necessity even when the mind resists it. You may notice that when you release guilt, even briefly, the heaviness begins to change. It may feel less dense, less personal. This is because guilt adds weight to every feeling. When guilt softens, feelings become lighter without being dismissed. I invite you to imagine placing your concerns gently into the care of life for the night. You are not discarding them. You are setting them down temporarily. Life is capable of holding them while you rest. You do not need to stay awake to protect what matters. Allowing the heart to rest is an act of trust. Trust in yourself, trust in life. Trust that you will return to what needs attention with more clarity after rest. The heart knows this truth instinctively. You may feel unfamiliar sensations as the heart begins to rest, a quiet emptiness, a gentle openness. These sensations are not absence, they are space. Space allows healing to occur naturally. I want you to know that nothing bad happens when the heart rests. The world does not fall apart. You do not become careless. Instead, you become replenished. Replenishment restores balance. When you release guilt, you release a heavy layer that was never meant to be carried. Beneath guilt, there is tenderness. Beneath tenderness, there is peace. Peace does not require explanation. It arrives when effort leaves. As you allow yourself to rest emotionally, notice how the body responds. Notice the sense of being supported by the surface beneath you. Notice the quiet around you. These simple cues tell the heart that it is safe to let go. You are allowed to rest tonight. You are allowed to stop holding everything together. You are allowed to trust that life will still be there in the morning. The heart does not need discipline right now. It needs permission. And as you give it that permission, gently and without apology, you may notice that the heaviness begins to lift. Not because you forced it to, but because you finally allowed yourself to lay it down. This is how the heart heals. This is how rest becomes possible. I want to speak with you now about allowing the night to carry you the rest of the way, without effort and without expectation. When the heart has been heard, reassured, and given permission to rest, something very gentle begins to happen. The weight that once pressed inward starts to loosen. Not all at once, but enough for peace to enter. The heart does not need to be pushed into calm. Calm arrives naturally when the heart no longer feels alone. When you stop asking it to hold everything together, it relaxes into the support that has always been available. This support is quiet, steady, and patient, like the night itself. You may notice that your breathing feels easier now. The body begins to settle into the surface beneath it. Muscles release in small ways. These are signs that the heart trusts the moment. Trust allows the night to do its work. The night is not empty. It is full of rest. It does not require you to think, plan, or prepare. It simply holds. When you allow yourself to be held, the heart stops reaching outward and turns inward, where peace lives. I want you to imagine placing everything you have been carrying into the care of the night. Worries, questions, unfinished thoughts. You are not dismissing them. You are allowing them to rest with you. They do not need your attention right now. There is a natural rhythm that returns when the heart feels safe. Thoughts slow, sensations soften. Awareness narrows to the simple experience of being. This rhythm leads you gently toward sleep, without force. You may still feel moments of heaviness. If you do, greet them kindly. There is no need to change anything. Even these moments are held. The night does not rush them away. It allows them to pass in their own time. I want you to trust that nothing needs to be resolved before you rest. The heart does not require closure tonight. It requires care. Care has already been given through listening, reassurance, and permission. As you lie here, notice the quiet spaces between breaths. These spaces are peaceful. They ask nothing of you. Rest lives in these spaces. The heart settles when it knows it is supported by something larger than effort. Life continues gently, even while you sleep. You do not need to stay awake to make things right. I often say that peace is not something we achieve, it is something we allow. Tonight, allow the night to carry what you no longer need to hold. You are safe to let go, you are safe to rest, and as sleep approaches, let it come as a friend, not a task. Trust that your heart has been heard, the night knows how to hold you, let it, and drift gently, knowing that nothing is required of you now except rest. I want to stay with you a little longer now, in this gentle space where nothing is being asked of you. An epilogue is not meant to add more effort or more understanding. It is meant to let what has already been spoken settle into the body, the heart, and the breath. Healing often deepens, not through new words, but through allowing familiar words to sink into a quieter place. When the heart has been heavy, it is easy to believe that something must be wrong with you. Yet heaviness is often a sign of devotion, devotion to caring, devotion to responsibility, devotion to being present for others. Over time, devotion without rest becomes weight. This does not mean you have loved too much. It means you have forgotten to include yourself in that love. I want you to remember that the heart is not meant to be armored. It is meant to be responsive. When it feels heavy, it is not closing, it is asking to be met. And when it is met with kindness, it remembers how to open again without strain. There is a rhythm to emotional life, just as there is a rhythm to breath. Inhale and exhale, holding and releasing, giving and receiving. When one part of the rhythm is interrupted, the whole system feels out of balance. Many people have learned to hold far more than they release. This imbalance settles quietly into the chest. You are not meant to carry everything consciously. Life has its own intelligence, one that continues even when you rest. When you allow yourself to step back, even briefly, you give that intelligence room to move. The heart relaxes when it realizes it does not have to manage everything alone. You may notice that after moments of gentleness, there is a soft sadness that arises. This sadness is not a setback, it is a thaw. It is the heart releasing what it could not release before because it did not feel safe. Allow this sadness without fear. It is part of lightening the load. Many people are afraid that if they allow themselves to feel fully, they will become overwhelmed. Yet feelings that are welcome tend to move through more gently than feelings that are resisted. Resistance hardens. Welcome softens. Softening is what allows release. I want you to trust that your heart knows how to heal. It does not need to be pushed or corrected. It responds naturally to safety, reassurance, and presence. When you provide these, even imperfectly, healing unfolds in its own way. You may also notice that your relationship with time changes when the heart feels lighter. Urgency softens. The future feels less demanding. You stop racing toward relief and begin allowing it to find you. This shift is subtle, yet it affects everything. Rest is not something you do only at night. Rest is an inner posture. It is the willingness to stop bracing, to stop rehearsing, to stop demanding answers before they are ready. This kind of rest can exist even in the middle of a busy life. The heart feels heavy when it believes it must stay alert to keep you safe. When you reassure it gently, it begins to trust that safety does not depend on constant vigilance. Trust allows the heart to stand down from its watch. You may notice that when you treat yourself with kindness, you become more patient with others as well. Not because you are trying to be better, but because you are less depleted. Depletion creates irritation. Replenishment creates generosity. There is nothing selfish about tending to your own heart. A heart that is cared for has more to give, more to share, more to enjoy. Caring for yourself does not take love away from others. It restores its source. I want you to know that you do not have to remember everything you have heard. You do not have to practice perfectly. The heart learns through repetition and tone, not precision. Even small moments of kindness accumulate over time. You may have nights in the future when heaviness returns. This does not mean you have gone backward. It means the heart is asking again to be heard. Each time you listen, you strengthen the relationship with yourself. The heart does not keep score. It does not say, you should be past this by now. That voice comes from the mind, not the heart. The heart is patient. It is willing to return to the same conversation as many times as needed. Life itself is patient with you. It does not rush your healing. It does not demand that you be finished before you are ready. It meets you where you are again and again. I often say that life loves you. This is not a poetic idea. It is a felt experience. It is the sense of being supported even when you are unsure. It is the quiet assurance that you are not alone in your process. When the heart feels heavy, it may help to remember that heaviness is not the opposite of love. It is often love that has been carrying quietly for too long. When love is allowed to rest, it becomes light again. You may notice that your body responds quickly to this understanding. The breath becomes easier. The chest feels less guarded. These are signs that the heart recognizes truth when it hears it. There is no need to force yourself into peace. Peace arrives when the struggle to feel better ends. Ending the struggle does not mean giving up. It means choosing kindness over pressure. I want you to trust that even when you do not know what you need, the heart knows what helps. Often it is something very simple, a gentle word, a hand over the chest, a moment of stillness. These simple acts speak volumes to the heart. You are allowed to change your pace. You are allowed to rest emotionally. You are allowed to let things remain unfinished for the night. Nothing important is lost when you rest. The heart becomes lighter when it feels permission. Permission to feel, permission to pause, permission to be imperfect, and still worthy of care. As you move forward, carry this understanding gently, not as a rule, but as a reminder. When heaviness appears, respond with kindness rather than concern. Kindness is always the correct response to tenderness. You may find that sleep comes more easily when the heart feels met, or you may simply find that lying awake feels less lonely. Both are forms of rest. Rest does not always look the same. I want you to know that you are not behind in life. You are not late to healing. You are exactly where you need to be to learn how to be gentler with yourself. The heart is learning slowly and faithfully that it does not have to carry everything alone. Each time you listen, you reinforce that lesson. There is a deep intelligence within you that knows when it is safe to let go. Trust this intelligence. It has been guiding you all along, even when you did not recognize it. As this epilogue comes to a close, let there be no sense of finishing. Let it feel like a continuation. A gentle, ongoing conversation between you and your heart. Nothing needs to be resolved right now. Nothing needs to be proven. You are allowed to rest in the knowing that you are doing enough by being present. Life is holding you. Your heart is responding. And heaviness, when met with love, always finds its way toward lightness. Stay gentle with yourself. That gentleness is the truest healing you can offer. I want to remain with you again in this quiet after space where nothing is being asked of you and nothing is expected to change right away. Sometimes the heart needs more than one gentle resting place. Not because it did not hear you before, but because it is learning that kindness can stay. There is a tenderness that appears after heaviness has been acknowledged. It is subtle, almost shy. This tenderness is the heart realizing it no longer has to brace itself. For a long time, it may have believed that vigilance was love, that staying alert was protection. When vigilance softens, tenderness emerges. This tenderness is not fragile. It is honest. Many people are unfamiliar with tenderness toward themselves. They know how to be tender with others, how to offer comfort, how to listen patiently. Yet when tenderness turns inward, it can feel unfamiliar, even undeserved. The heart may hesitate at first, unsure if this gentleness will last. Staying with it teaches the heart that it is safe to soften. You may notice that after moments of reassurance, a quiet emptiness appears. This emptiness is not loss, it is space. Space where tension once lived. Space where feeling was held tightly. Space invites something new to arrive, even if you do not know yet what that will be. I want you to trust this space. Many people rush to fill it, believing emptiness means something is missing. Yet emptiness after heaviness is often relief. It is the heart setting something down and realizing it no longer has to pick it back up immediately. There is a deep wisdom in allowing feelings to complete themselves. When emotions are carried without interruption, they eventually change form. Heaviness becomes softness. Softness becomes calm. Calm becomes rest. This process cannot be forced. It unfolds when you stop interfering. You may still notice thoughts arising, reminding you of responsibilities, concerns, or unfinished matters. Greet these thoughts gently. There is no need to push them away. Simply let them know that they can wait. Waiting does not erase importance. It honors timing. The heart responds beautifully to timing. When it feels rushed, it tightens. When it feels respected, it relaxes. Respect is shown through patience, through staying present without demands, through allowing yourself to feel without needing to resolve everything at once. I want to speak again about self-approval, because approval is one of the most soothing gifts you can offer your heart. Approval says, I accept myself in this moment, not because everything is perfect, but because you are here, breathing, feeling, and willing to listen. Many people with heavy hearts are very hard on themselves. They believe they should be coping better, healing faster, feeling lighter. This belief adds another layer of weight. The heart does not need deadlines. it needs understanding. Understanding does not come from explanation alone. It comes from presence. When you sit with yourself kindly, the heart understands that it is not alone. Loneliness is often the true source of heaviness. When loneliness dissolves, the heart lifts naturally. I want you to remember that emotional healing is not linear. Some nights feel lighter. Some nights feel heavy again. This does not mean progress is lost. It means layers are being revealed. Each layer asks for the same response: gentleness. You are not meant to heal by pushing yourself forward. You are meant to heal by staying connected to yourself. Connection is restored each time you choose kindness over criticism, patience over pressure. You may find that after moments of rest, insights arise quietly, not as dramatic realizations, but as small understandings. A sense of what matters, a recognition of what no longer needs to be carried. These insights are gifts of rest, not effort. There is a part of you that has always known how to soothe the heart. It is the same part that comforts a child or reassures a friend. This part has never been absent. It may simply have been directed outward for a long time. Now it is learning to turn inward. I want you to know that caring for your own heart does not make you less available to others. It makes you more whole. A heart that is rested gives more freely without depletion. A heart that is cared for does not need to harden to survive. You may notice changes in how you experience the world as your heart grows lighter. Colors feel softer. Sounds feel less sharp. Moments feel less demanding. These changes are not imagined. They are the natural result of reduced inner tension. Tension narrows perception. Relaxation widens it. When the heart is no longer contracted, you see life more clearly, you notice beauty more easily, you feel gratitude without effort. These are signs that energy is flowing again. I want to speak gently about trust. Trust does not mean believing everything will go perfectly. Trust means believing you can meet whatever comes with kindness towards yourself. This trust removes the need for constant guarding. Guarding is exhausting. It keeps the heart in a state of readiness that never fully resolves. When guarding relaxes, energy returns. This energy may feel unfamiliar at first. Let it be. It is life returning to places that were once occupied by tension. You may feel moments of joy alongside moments of sadness. This does not mean something is wrong. It means the heart is alive and responsive again. A responsive heart feels a range of emotions without getting stuck in them. I want you to honor this responsiveness. It is a sign of health. It shows that feelings are moving rather than settling heavily. Movement is always a sign of healing. There is no need to analyze each sensation or emotion that arises. Analysis often pulls you back into the mind when the heart is learning to rest. Trust the process. Your awareness is enough. You are allowed to sleep even if everything is not resolved. You are allowed to rest even if questions remain. You are allowed to feel held even if answers have not arrived. Nothing important will be lost. The heart is learning a new experience, being cared for without conditions. This experience may feel unfamiliar. Stay with it. Familiarity grows through repetition. Each night you respond to heaviness with kindness. You teach your heart that it can rely on you. Reliability builds trust. Trust builds peace. I want you to think of this not as a practice you must remember, but as a relationship you are nurturing, a relationship with your own heart. Relationships deepen through consistency, not perfection. Some nights you may forget. You may become impatient. You may criticize yourself again. When you notice this, return gently. Return without apology. Return without judgment. The heart does not hold grudges. Life itself does not hold grudges against you. Life responds to your inner state with remarkable accuracy. When you soften, life softens. When you trust, life supports. I often say that life loves you. This love is not conditional. It does not depend on how well you manage your emotions. It is present even when you feel unsure, especially then. When you allow yourself to be loved by life, even quietly, the heart feels less alone. Aloneness is what makes heaviness unbearable. Connection is what makes it manageable. Connection does not always come from people. It comes from presence, from breath, from the sense of being held by something larger than your own effort. The night offers this holding generously. You may notice that as the heart grows lighter, you begin to forgive yourself more easily. Forgiveness does not require forgetting. It requires understanding that you were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. Self-forgiveness releases enormous weight. Much of what the heart carries is unkind judgment toward the self. When this judgment softens, space opens immediately. I want you to speak kindly to yourself about your humanity, about your sensitivity, about your need for rest. These are not flaws. They are signs of a responsive, caring heart. The heart does not need to be tougher. It needs to be treated more gently. As you continue, remember that heaviness is not an enemy, it is a messenger. It arrives to tell you that something inside needs care. When you respond with love, the message completes itself. You do not need to wait for the perfect moment to be kind to yourself. The moment you are in is enough. Kindness works immediately. There is a quiet confidence that grows when you learn you can meet yourself in difficult moments. This confidence is not loud, it does not boast. It simply knows, I can stay with myself. Staying with yourself is one of the greatest acts of self-love. It tells the heart it does not have to carry things alone ever again. As this epilogue settles, let it feel like a continuation rather than a conclusion. You are not finishing anything. You are opening a new way of relating to yourself. Nothing needs to be hurried. Nothing needs to be proven. You are allowed to rest inside your own kindness. Your heart is listening. And with each gentle moment, it grows lighter, steadier, and more at peace.